Welcome to the Sports Betting Preview podcast from pregame.com. I'm Marco D'Angelo, along with my partner in crime, Vegas Runner, the guy you saw him featured on, actually the only sports gambler featured on the CNBC special on sports gambling. I'll get your autograph later. I want the 8x10 glossy, okay?
No problem.
But this is our first segment. We're going to do preview the San Diego Chargers at Tennessee. This is on Friday, Christmas edition. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of our followers at pregame.com. From myself, I'm sure Vegas
Merry
Runner.
Christmas, fellas. Happy New Year. God bless you, your family, from all of us here.
And it's, as we always do, there's a game, so we're going to go to the numbers. Guy, what do you got for us?
It's a good game, actually, for Christmas Day. I'm sure they planned for both teams to have, at least the Tennessee side, to have a little better record than they do coming in. But it's an intriguing matchup, I think. This game opened up Tennessee as a 2.5-point home favorite with the total set at 47.5. As of this morning, I'm seeing 3 all across the board with Tennessee, and the total's at 47. So very small movement to the under, but the side's a little significant move now that it's a 3 across the board, because I expect the betting public to come in on the San Diego side in this game.
Well, you couldn't have 2 hotter ball clubs.
Yeah.
You've got San Diego that comes in winners of 9 in a row, and you got Tennessee coming in winners of 7 of 8, with the only loss coming to the undefeated Colts. So, I mean, if you talk about momentum, I mean, these two are like runaway freight trains, colliding.
Absolutely.
Now, if you look at it from a handicapping standpoint, the first thing that jumps out to me in this game, and we'll talk about this in me and your show this week in Vegas. I was highly involved in the San Diego game last week, but the San Diego Chargers, they're in a rough spot scheduling-wise. They're coming off the biggest game of the year. Last week's game against the Bengals, virtually, it gave them the division title.
Yeah, for sure.
And it virtually gave them the number 2 seed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And
correct.
So this is a great spot for them to have a letdown. Plus, they've got to travel east on a short week. They're playing on a Friday, and West Coast teams traveling east is a big disadvantage to start with, and then you throw it on a Friday, it makes it even more.
And Tennessee was home last week, so I mean they didn't have to travel and get back home, so that's a big advantage there, and I think that's why we saw the move to 3. When I went back to see what was the future line on this game, because remember, coming into the season, we all knew San Diego was going to be good. I mean, I gave them out as my future of the year, and 4 weeks in, it didn't look like a good pick.
Look good, no.
But right now, I wouldn't want any other AFC team, I'll tell you the truth, because the Colts being it undefeated, I think that's a negative going into the playoffs as opposed to a positive.
If
you told me
pressure
right now, honestly, what AFC team would you want to take at even 5-1 odds to win the Super Bowl or higher? I'd take San Diego right now to get to the Super Bowl from the AFC. I really would. But again, I think this is a letdown spot. Right now in the AFC, we got 6 teams that are tied at 7-7. So this is going to be a huge week for all those 7-7 teams. Right. This for Tennessee is pretty much their game of the year. I mean, they can't lose this game if they want any hopes of sneaking in the back door after starting off as horrendous as they did.
That's the key. You're paying a premium because they're in a must-win situation. But a little angle that I found over the years, and I'm a person that doesn't like to play must-win teams because you always do pay a premium with the Vegas odds makers. But I found it's even more so when it's a must-win game where the team actually controls their own destiny. That's not the case here.
No.
Tennessee,
they need a lot of other things to happen.
Right. So it's not as bad of a burden because they just, there's not the pressure of a win and we're in. It's win and we still need help. So it psychologically doesn't put the same strain on the team as if it's a must win and you control your own destiny.
And on the San Diego side, let's not forget, usually this team is late in the season, the last few seasons, has been fighting to try to avoid having to go play on the road in the playoffs because of having to travel to places like Pittsburgh or Baltimore where they're at such a disadvantage because of the weather conditions.
Right.
This year, I think they're a little more relaxed knowing that they'll host game number 1, And to get to the Super Bowl, they're going to have to go to Indianapolis in a dome.
Right.
So, I mean, this team's pretty hyped up right now in the position they are compared to where they were early on. I went back to see last time these two played because they met last season. And surprisingly, it was the same QB situation. It was Rivers and Young. It wasn't Collins at the controls. And San Diego won 17-6, and Tennessee was 0-3 in the red zone. They just couldn't score against this team. But what really caught me by surprise was how big of a day Rivers had. He threw for 300 yards. I mean, the Tennessee defense shut down their running game completely, held them to 70 yards, but Rivers had a field day passing. And when I look at this year's Tennessee defense, once again, they're 31st against the pass out of 32 teams. And is Rivers going to once again have a field day? Because this San Diego team has not been able to run the ball. 30th in the NFL, and that's so surprising when you have that 1-2 punch of Sproles and Tomlinson.
Well, I agree with everything that you said there. The one thing is, for Rivers to have a big day, he's got to get on the field and have a lot of touches.
Yeah.
This year, Tennessee is running the ball super. And I think Tennessee, their running game is so much better this year than it was last year. And I think that is one of the weak links on the San Diego Charger team, is that you can run the ball on them and you can run it up the middle. And if Tennessee can control the clock and keep the ball on the
rhythm,
and you know that the best defense is to keep the other team's offense off the field.
The only thing, because, and I'm sure a lot of people followed the play as well, I bet Tennessee last week.
Huge lead in the game.
Yeah, and the way they let Miami come back, once again, it was because they can't defend the pass that well. And that's, you saw that. I mean, it was a fluke play at the end to get them down at first and goal, but still, Miami got back in the game by zinging the ball across the field on them.
And Chad Henne's not going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for his passing.
No, exactly. So that's the only thing that I'm looking at the San Diego side. Honestly, I can't back them, even though I think there is some value with San Diego at +3. I mean, let's tell it like it is. On a neutral field, if these two teams played in my backyard and I had to bet my life, I'd be betting San Diego, correct? So, getting 3 points, I think there's a little value there, but the situation is, and it's such a big game for Tennessee, and like you said, the letdown for San Diego and the bad scheduling spot they're in, I don't know if there really is value in grabbing 3 points.
If you remember 2 weeks ago when Cincinnati went to Minnesota, on the same show, we broke down that game. And I said, this is a bad spot for Cincinnati.
Correct.
Because the week before, although they didn't clinch the division, both Pittsburgh and Baltimore lost the week before. And Cincinnati owned all the tiebreakers against both of those teams.
So they were relaxed.
So in virtually what it was is the division was wrapped up. And they went to Minnesota and had their worst game of the year at Minnesota. And I just see that's a part. That's what I feel here. It's the same kind of dynamic.
Speaking the books, and just my experience from bookmaking for so long, I'll bet anything right now that come Christmas night, the books are going to be needing the Tennessee side. Yeah. I mean, you're going to see a lot of San Diego straight bets, a lot of San Diego money line bets, and even more San Diego teaser bets. So I think the books are really going to need the Tennessee side come Christmas Day.
Well, it looks like neither one of us have an official play in this game. Me personally, a lean to Tennessee.
Me too.
And that's going to wrap up this preview, the San Diego at Tennessee. Be sure to check out all of our other videos this week. We'll be previewing 6 games, both college and pro. We got some bowl action this week. You can check them all out at pregame.tv.